The Taliban is claiming responsibility for a bloody attack on a hotel in Afghanistan's capital city. At least 6 suicide bombers attacked the Intercontinental Hotel in Kabul. That led to a 4-hour standoff between police and militants. It ended after NATO helicopters fired rockets at gunmen on the hotel's roof. Just hours before the attack, officials from the United States, Afghanistan, and Pakistan met in Kabul to discuss ways to make peace with the Taliban. For more this morning, we are joined by CBS News Military Analyst Mike Lyons. Thanks for being with us, Mike.
Good morning, Betty.
Well, as the president was announcing the withdrawal of troops, this is what he had to say about the Taliban, and I'm quoting here. As we strengthen the Afghan government and security forces, America will join initiatives that reconcile the Afghan people, including the Taliban. So let me ask you this. How do you reconcile and negotiate with the Taliban after we see attacks like we did in Kabul?
Yeah, very difficult. I mean, we don't even know who the Taliban is in terms of one person, group of people, different parts of Afghanistan where they could be coming from, different groups that exist in the southern part versus what we see up in the northern part. You know, these are true jihadists. I mean, they're suicide bombers. I mean, let's talk about the attack today. 6 people get into that hotel. Clearly has to be an inside job, the amount of weapon systems that they brought in. 2 of them are killed in the lobby. 4 of them make their way to the roof. So again, more inside in the job. And then think about this. Attack helicopters have to come in to take out 4 guys on the top of a roof. I mean, you couldn't imagine that happening in the United States and any other place. It just shows the lack of police physical presence, police physical capability, and we're a long ways away if this is where we're at on the same week when the president's now talking about withdrawing troops from Afghanistan.
So does that frighten you, given, I guess, the Afghan security situation and their own forces not being able to handle something like this? Like you say, 4 people up on the roof.
Yeah,
if you can't handle that, can you handle it once the U.S. starts withdrawing troops?
And the fact that they did it, you know, in the Capitol, right under their nose, sending a signal, meetings taking place tomorrow amongst tribal leaders and provincial leaders about how they're going to protect their own provinces out there. And you know, the fact that they were able to get in there and make this kind of attack, they would have killed more Afghans, they would have killed other foreigners, than they would have killed American forces. These are true jihadists. They're very smart. They send a message. This enemy is not willing to give up just yet. And I don't know who we're negotiating with yet, because if they have that kind of firepower, they still want to continue to fight.
Well, given the fact that the U.S. is still talking about withdrawing and we've got things planned out for the months to come, does it give the Taliban any incentive whatsoever to draw back itself and not continue its attacks?
No, it doesn't. And you know, what they want to see is they want to see Americans out tomorrow. They want to have control over the Afghan government. They want to decentralize. They want to take Afghanistan back to a place when they controlled it. Now, that's not in the U.S. security's best interest, because we don't want to have Al-Qaeda and other terrorist organizations training there. So, you know, we've got to define an end state. The president and this administration has got to define an end state as to what we want Afghanistan to look like. Then the military can define its mission around that. We just continue to have this whole thing backwards. We're trying to use the military as the hammer when there's so many other tools that have to be applied with regard to getting what we want the end state to look like in Afghanistan.
So to find an end state, do you have to negotiate with the Taliban?
I do think that they're part of the political process. We saw that in Iraq, that if there's an insurgency taking place, they're going to have to become part of the process. The IRA in Northern Ireland, I mean, terrorist groups are going to be part of the process as they put their weapons down and become part of the society. Now, again, these people are jihadists. They have a different spin. We have to keep that in mind and understand what it's going to take in order for them to bring them to the table. We still don't know what that is.
But does that legitimize them and what they're doing?
You know, it does legitimize them, but they do have power. They control the countryside. Until the Afghan government can stand up for itself and give a better deal to Afghan civilians than the Taliban can to civilians in the countryside, nothing's going to change. And so we can kill as many of them as possible as we want, but they're still going to continue to grow. They're still going to continue to support the Afghan civilians in a better manner than the corrupt Afghan government.
All right, Mike Lyons, as always, we do appreciate your insight. Thanks so much for spending some time with us.
Thanks, Betty.